In 1872, Tucson was a dusty desert town. Population 1,200. Stores that catered to the copper and silver mining industries sprang up from the desert landscape. The Zeckendorf's Mercantile Exchange dominated downtown. Albert Steinfeld was 18 when he joined his uncle's business. The stagecoach journey from Los Angeles to Tucson took 6 days. His first night here, Albert cried himself to sleep. By 1904, Zeckendorf's closed forever, and Steinfeld's was born. And Albert dreamed of building a grand hotel. Albert and his son Harold built their dream. For 41 years, the Pioneer was the place to see and be seen. If you grew up in Tucson, you grew up at the Pioneer. Decades flew by, and 5 days before Christmas in 1970, it was a cold December night. Clear skies, 44 degrees. 113 guests slept in 60 rooms. In the ballroom downstairs, 650 partygoers danced.
Tucson Fire Department, Asmus.
This is the downtown Shoppers Garage. There's a deputy out here, and somebody's yelling fire over near the Pioneer Hotel. A car is on fire.
Car on fire at the Pioneer Hotel?
Near the Pioneer Hotel.
Is that in front or behind the Pioneer?
In front, as far as we know.
In front?
Yeah, I can't leave my cashier's booth, but this deputy from the courthouse ran up there and told me to call the fire department.
Okay, we'll get somebody right there.
Right.
Tucson Fire Department.
Oh, this is Pioneer International Hotel?
Yeah.
There's a fire on the 3rd floor. Can we get some response, please?
Fire on the 3rd floor?
That's what we're having people calling down. There's a slow call upstairs.
Okay, we'll get somebody right there.
Thank you, sir.
Hold on.
Oblivious to the quick lick of flames 4 floors above, wisps of smoke seeped into the ballroom. Bandleader Luis Leon thought stage wires were overheating.
We're right in the middle of playing a dance tune when the catering manager, Mr. Scoggins, he came up to me. I could tell he was kind of excited. And then he said, "Louis, get them the hell out of here. The place is on fire." So that got me a little excited too. And I walked in front of the band and I cut the band short.
Engine 1, Engine 2, Engine 3, Ladder 1, Ladder 3, and Rescue 1, Pioneer Hotel. Engine 1, 2, 3, Ladder 1, Ladder 3, and Rescue 1, Pioneer Hotel. Fire reported 3rd or 7th floor.
And at that time, everyone started staring at me. And that's when I made the announcement. Said, "May I have your attention, please?" And I repeated that. "May I have your attention? Please evacuate the ballroom as soon as possible." I will repeat, please evacuate the ballroom as soon as possible.
As the band leader went outside to move his station wagon, he saw the first victim jump. Engine 1 arrived, and as he pulled away and fled for home, all he could think of, this was a nightmare.
I got called in later, one of the first to report to Station 1 when they initiated the callback. My duty assignment at that time was to document all the radio communications that occurred during the fires.
Station 1 unit responding.
Check Station 1.
Fire ladder 3, Pioneer Hotel.
Check Ladder 3.
This engine 1 reports to see the smoke in the area. Engine 2, we're going to make a high-rise wave.
The first arriving companies and chief officers reported smoke pouring from the windows on the upper floors. Guests were leaning out of the windows, screaming for help. Aerial ladders were raised, ground ladders placed. Partygoers on the first 2 floor ballrooms and dining rooms were evacuated.
Engine 5, Engine 7, Ladder 2, Rescue 2. 80 North Stone, Pioneer Hotel. Engine 5, 7, Ladder 2 and Rescue 2. 80 North Stone, Pioneer Hotel, second alarm.
Flames leapt from windows, the only brightest light in the nighttime sky.
En route to the fire, the Pioneer fire, we pulled out of Station 7. As soon as we pulled out of the station, we could see the sky glowing. It was just all lit up. There was a lot of traffic, a lot of radio communications going on we could hear.
Fire started full alert on this.
Check.
Fire 2, we'll need all help we can get to the scene.
It was a combination of firefighting and rescue. From rooftops and balconies, some hotel guests trapped in their rooms desperately began making ropes from sheets and hanging them out of the windows.
We were dispatched. En route over there, you could hear all the radio traffic, and you knew that you had a big fire. Upon arriving at the scene, I parked right in front of the old Steinfeld store. It was really kind of weird because, you know, as I opened the door, I looked at Steinfeld's, and it was this beautiful winter scene that they usually put up for Christmas. And then I realized that I could see the reflection of the fire as it's coming off the building.
One of the most significant things for the day was that, number one, this was our second big fire of the day. At about 8 o'clock in the morning, we had a truck fire up on the freeway between St. Mary's and Speedway. And between engine 1 and engine 2, they laid out every inch of their hose, and which is about 80 sections. And we were on that fire until about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then we came back to the station and we had to clean all the hose, reload our hose in our trucks. We didn't even eat dinner until about 6:30 or 7 o'clock.
One of the first problems we had was an elderly woman and her husband. The woman decided she would want to go first, then I had to go back up and convince the husband that he had to come down. I walked the lady down the aerial, went back up, went after her husband. Her husband, I had some problems trying to get him to agree to come down the aerial. Finally, I told him I was going to leave him because we couldn't wait and I would rescue other people. He finally decided to come down. I was walking him down. He would not. He wanted to walk facing away from the aerial instead of the way we usually climb down the aerial.
Flames were ripping through the stairwell and hallways. Flammable carpeting, vinyl wallpaper, and hotel Christmas decorations.
We were fighting fire, there was fire there, and we were going up, and then all of a sudden the hose went limp, no water. So we immediately dropped down because the flames came right back at us and the smoke. At that juncture, we followed the hose all the way back to the standpipe, realized that it wasn't connected. We didn't know what had happened, and eventually we figured out that the threads were not the same. Our hose threads, which was national standard thread, did not fit with the standpipe thread.
Engine 8, Engine 10, Rescue 3, 80 North Stone, Engine 8, Engine 10, and Rescue 3, 80 North Stone, Pioneer Hotel, third alarm.
Choking smoke filled the air. Fires were burning on all of the floors, and firefighters dragged hoses by hand and attached them to dry standpipe connections on each floor. They attacked the flames floor by floor in a desperate search for occupants.
And I could see people in there. and they were all holding it to each other, you know. So I told my partner, Dickie De La Hunt, I said, Dickie, just spray me with water and I'll go in there and take them out, you know, one by one.
We went back and there was a gentleman waving a white towel. We positioned the aerial. I went back up. I helped climb out of the balcony, the little rail that they had. He came down. We brought him down.
First officer just informed us that there's some people behind the building that may be jumping off. Do you wish us to go back to the Pion Hotel and check it?
Firefighters rescued 75 guests, giving desperate medical attention on the street, then transported them to overwhelmed emergency rooms. Some of those rescued were already dead, but the firefighters had no way of knowing if the victims they passed to waiting rescuers would survive the night and their injuries.
Chief Bail, I just called for a full alert a moment ago, so can you get on your emergency book there, start a full alert of all personnel?
But we had a lot of firefighters there because it was a 4-alarm fire, so you can imagine how many, and I don't know the exact number, but we combed through every room, and the toughest part was opening a door, walking in the room, and then stepping on a body, and then actually smelling that distinct odor of a charred human body, and it was an experience.
In 1929, the hotel was touted as being absolutely fireproof. But the reality 41 years later was frightening. There were no automatic sprinkler systems, no way to suppress the fire. 2 open stairwells acted like chimneys, accelerating the spread of the flames to the floors above.
A big item in the hotel fire that was responsible for the generation and spread of smoke and heat was the building was kind of like the building of its time. It was very decorative, very ornate. The hallways were literally carpeted and paneled from floor to ceiling. And the hallways were the exit ways for the people to get out of the building.
Went all the way up to the penthouse where the Steinfeld family was, and I remember distinctly she had her hand through the window, through the Venetian blinds, trying to get to open the window, and she never got, I guess, the smoke inhalation, and they all perished.
Four alarms were dispatched. 203 firefighters responded. From Tucson, 73 on duty and all off-duty personnel. A community of responders converged to fight that fire, rescue the victims, and Davis Monthan and South Tucson rushed in to protect a community left vulnerable. From Stone on the west and the 6 floors on the east, firefighters, police, sheriffs, and civilians worked together, surrounding the hotel, pulling mattresses from the 3rd floor, holding ladders aloft, escorting guests from rooftops and fire escapes. Then, the unthinkable happened. Erected incorrectly, a ladder collapses. Pete Trujillo and Art Apodaca fell to the ground. Trujillo broke his pelvis on impact, Apodaca an ankle. At the top of the ladder, Ellis Franklin was trapped, his calf caught in the rungs. Franklin hung upside down from a shattered bone. 25 minutes of agony. Watching a female guest desperately cling to a thin copper pipe mounted to the exterior facade of the hotel.
When we extended the ladder, put it up as near as we could to the window where a lady was standing on a ledge. And as we were attempting to locate the ladder in the proper position, the top fly let loose, and of course down we came.
And they always want us to take another man off a rig, you know, and cut a rig out or do something. And that was one of the things, that's one of the reasons I got hurt, is because we didn't have enough trained personnel. And civilians got involved in putting this ladder up, but I fell off.
It took an hour to bring the flames under control, an eternity of anguish and determined focus. Pitch black smoke obscured the firefighters' vision, climbing blindly, floor by floor, unmarked stairwells, no markings to let the rescuers know what floor they were on. Heat and smoke surrounded them. Firefighters broke windows to get their bearings and catch a breath of air.
I cranked that window open and stuck my head out the window and just took the biggest gasp of air I could handle, and just kept breathing because I was so lightheaded. And then I could hear the people in the crowd. I could hear them, "Don't jump, don't jump." And I guess there had been quite a few people that had perished from jumping.
I had no idea what floor we were on, and that was one of the problems that we had, that the floors were not numbered on the stairwells. So when they would ask for people on the 6th, 7th, or 8th floor, you had no idea where you were.
Finally, the fire was out. Fire investigators knew there were 2 points of origin. Fires set 60 feet apart on either side of the central staircase on the 4th floor landing.
Appeared to be coming from the 4th floor mainly. Of course, the entire area was covered, and it was hard to really tell what floor it was coming from, but I would say the 4th floor.
A test that was conducted on the 4th floor of the Pioneer Hotel, we knew that we had 2 separate points of origin, but we had no idea what the source of ignition was. So we thought we would try and set a fire using various methods to determine what the least amount of ignition source would be required to ignite the carpeting, because we were sure that the carpeting was involved in the initial point of origins.
Towards the end of the fire, after the coroner had been there and had already declared the scene secure and released the bodies, we started body removal. And this was really hard. We ended up taking out about 17 or 18 people. There were probably 10 of us that were doing this, and it was really nasty. I mean, it was bad.
The Pioneer Hotel fire was the largest loss of life in a structure fire that Tucson and Arizona had ever seen.
We lost our innocence with that fire. We really did. Before that, we were always the good guys. And then as it came out, as things went down, they were saying we weren't the good guys. And yet we did everything in our realm of feasibility to put that fire out.
At the end of the fire, I have never seen so many firefighters shedding tears as they're bringing the kids from that one family from Hermosillo. They were bringing them out. And I looked around and everybody felt really bad. And I think that the feeling was the fact that we had not gotten the upper hand on this fire. We had lost.
who knew that the walls and the floor were going to burn like those things did? I mean, it was just amazing. I mean, you'd go into it and it'd be cement walls that were charred all the way down the hallways. And it just, we couldn't believe what we saw when we went in there. And fire just devastated everything. There was nothing left hardly. Probably the worst thing afterwards that I had to do was that it was just before Christmas, and I had a bunch of little boys, and we were going to a Christmas party for the kids, and I had to be Santa Claus less than 6 hours after I got off duty, and it was pretty hard to make a smile.
The number of people that we had at the Pioneer, the number of people that were there for the dance, and the number of people that were there at the hotel was considerable. We were very fortunate, very fortunate.
It was an international tragedy. 13 of the 29 victims were from Hermosillo, Mexico. The tragedy devastated 2 countries. The Tucson community mourned. Citizens, family, and friends ached from the tragedy and couldn't believe the sight of the burned hotel. But they recognized the bravery of the heroes who responded and who stood in mourning at the funerals. Tucson Fire said never again, and changes were made to flammability standards, building codes, and fire suppression systems. Lives were saved nationally. Floor identification markings became the standard. No open stairwells were allowed, and alarm and smoke detection systems were required.
Today I work for Northwest Fire District, and I was at a Christmas party about 4 years ago, and this woman is telling me that her grandmother was at a fire where a whole bunch of people died. She thought it was in Casa Grande. She was just around Christmas time. And I says, well, no, the big fire was in Tucson. She says, well, my grandma was there, and she shimmied out onto the ledge, reached over and got a drain pipe and shimmied her way down. And I go, yeah, that woman was famous. I mean, she saved 6 people by doing it, because 6 other people saw her going down. They said, wow, we can do this.